Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Think about what I'm saying when I say Shabbat Shalom. I'm saying that there's a time that's rapidly approaching that we make special. And that was one of the contributions of the Torah and our ancestors. That is this notion that we can make time holy. And we do it at special times in our lives and the lives of our families. We do it at special times, special celebrations during the course of the year, and we do it also once a week. We make time holy both in the immediate. Right now, we're going to have a special day. We make time holy by virtue of the fact that we remember the past and we honor the people who were part of our past. And we make time holy also when we project as to what the future can bring. In this week's Parsha, there's something that's described that seems rather arcane and irrelevant to us, and it's the completion of the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the wilderness. And in the center of that tabernacle, there was an ark. We know that the Ark of the Covenant was placed there. And in that Ark of the Covenant, we also learn that the tablets of the law were placed there, the tablets which had inscribed upon them the Ten Commandments. It seemed to be a way of keeping alive an event from our people's past, revelation. It seemed to be a way of keeping alive the essence of our obligations as human beings and as Jews living in this world. But we also know that in the center of that tent of meeting, there was this ark, and above the ark stood these cherubim, these depicted figures of angels that were facing each other. And there's a little space between those two angels. And one of the things that the text tells us, and then later the rabbis tell us, is that from that space emanated the word of God to Moses. This was not the word of God that he had already received, but there would be messages that came from God in this mythical description into the future. It's really interesting how we deal with that when we're people who value tradition so much, because we also know that we have to see the realities of today, and we also have to look towards a future and be able to create a future that is creative and that's meaningful and that is responsive to a world that always changes. I know this past week we were at an unusual concert, the last of our Cantor's concert series, where we heard liturgical language being placed to the music of jazz. There were jazz musicians from the University of Miami. There was a conductor who came down from New York, from Juilliard, and we heard a whole different rendition of the words that are important in our religious expression. It's part of our challenge, and that is to keep alive the past, but also to make time right now that reflects upon a future that can be creative and meaningful and beautiful. I hope we can think about that as we read about the cherubim and we read about the Aron Kodesh and we read about that very, very special place in our people's past. Have a good Shabbos.